What's going on today, guys? All right, today we're gonna be working on something a little bit different. We have the car, we have the truck, but this is called Jay's Project Garage for a reason. So what we're working on today, what I'm gonna be working on today is a 1987, I believe, TRX 250X. It is a 4-stroke quad. Right now we're having some issues with it, so I want to get this thing ready for the 4th of July, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get it fixed. Let's take a look at it and I'll kind of tell you what's going on with it. It's not in too bad a shape for, being 87 and all. It will start up. I am able to kickstart it. It just won't stay running. And then probably after we get it fixed, we'll go ahead and give it a bath. I did already do an oil change on it. Looks like maybe it was leaking something at one point. Try to get that cleaned up. Maybe put some engine degreaser on it and get that cleaned up, and then hit it with a hose or power washer. But it's not a bad looking quad. It's a fun little ride. It does need some adjustments. I put a new air filter on it, and I'll show you guys that in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this thing up and running today so that it will stay running. I do believe that it's just an issue with the carb. So you can see the choke on and off. The little lever is right here. So yeah, so essentially it's been saying that the choke is off. When the choke is off, it runs like the choke is on. When I try to put the choke on, it wants to die immediately. So I think that there's a clog that's going on with the carb. So we'll go ahead and get that ripped out. And I have a rebuild kit for it. We'll get it all cleaned up and hopefully it runs good. All right, so here we are. Doesn't take too long to get something disassembled to this point. I've never worked on this thing before, so clearly I didn't know how everything came apart. But when you're working on something, a couple things. Make sure that where you put the bolts, you just put them right back. It's so much easier to put everything back together. When you kind of see where all the bolts were, that way you're not stuck trying to find them, which ones fit. The one thing to kind of keep note is when you're taking something apart that you don't really know how it goes together, So take apart the bolts that you do see, the ones that are obvious, and then, kind of start giving everything a light little tug. And then where you can feel that maybe it's still attached or maybe it's still tight, travel down, look through, the whole setup, and then slowly start to remove things that you see that are holding it into place. So yeah, it's not too hard. Like I said, air filter, this is stuff that is easily done if you're slightly mechanically inclined. It's not too difficult. So you can see we got the tank off. This is where the gas goes into, and then clearly, you know, here's our carb. You know, motors like this are really simple to work on. Clearly, you know, you're gonna need spark, but it doesn't have a battery, it doesn't have a starter, so when you kickstart it, it starts the electric stator, which I believe is in here, if I'm not mistaken, and it just kicks it all over. This holds the electricity for like the lights and all that stuff, and then the motor just kind of powers itself as it's spinning. So, you know, you have to make sure that you're getting good airflow that travels into the carb. As long as the carb, you know, is functioning properly, it's filling up with the right amount of gas that it needs. The float bowl holds the gas, and then you open the throttle and it opens up the slider inside, and it puts the right amount of air mixture and gasoline into the cylinder, which obviously causes it to run. So there's really not a whole bunch of things to look at when you're having starting issues or running issues. You know, spark plug, clearly gas, but the carburetor and airflow. So if you check all of those components, you should be able to get it started. As long as you check the compression in the Kickstarter, as long as it has good compression, obviously it's trying to kick it over, and then you would have to look at one of the other components that get it started. If there is no compression, then you have a bigger problem. And if it's seized up, then you have a bigger problem. Then you start looking into, you know, rebuilding the motor and stuff like that. So I'm gonna keep continuing to take this apart. But yeah, this quad, it sat for a long time. So they kind of stopped riding it. This is my girlfriend's grandpa. This belongs to him. This was her dad's childhood ATV. They kind of let it sit for a really long time. They didn't do any regular maintenance on it, and this is why it's not running well, and why I think the carb is likely just a little gunked up and needs some cleaning. Rebuild it with some gaskets and stuff like that, but it should be good to go. This video isn't really like a how-to. Really, it's more about digging into things yourself and being able to, you know, kind of work backwards. So taking things off is obviously a lot easier. The disassembly, just, you know, taking pictures or remembering how things go back together is going to be really important. I did have some issues with the carb, so I didn't get anything on film when I was trying to get it reassembled. I think I rebuilt it correctly. I think it's back in, and it should work. So the hard part about some carbs is the jetting, getting that jetting correct. And the jets can vary depending on what upgrades you do to them, and also the elevation that you're at as well. So I'm hoping that it's jetted correctly for what I'm doing with it. And I guess we'll see how it runs, and let's go ahead and try to get it started. I cannot express to you how hard that was to get started. Kickstart is by far not my favorite. It takes less components to actually start it, so, you know, but we did get it started. I adjusted the idle, so it seems like it's running good. Now I can turn the choke off and it will actually run. Well, before I would turn the choke off and it would treat it like the choke was on, and then when I would turn the choke on, it would just like flood it immediately. So I figured one of those jets was just gunked up, and when I actually opened up the carb, it actually was not that dirty. So I knew it wasn't going to be too hard. I tweaked some of the adjustments a little bit for the jets and the idle adjustment screw, that kind of stuff. That might have helped. But yeah, it did start, it did run. Let's go ahead and start it up again. See if it starts up easier on the rebound. Whew. That is no joke. See, and that's what it's all about right there, you know? Figure out there's a problem, you take the time, do it yourself. It took me a lot longer than I expected. I've cleaned so many carbs in my day, and this one was a lot different, so, you know, I got it all cleaned. It took me, you know, with the trip to AutoZone, I would say 4 hours or so. I've been working on this all afternoon, but the feeling of getting something done, doing it by yourself, 1,000 times better than just taking it to somebody, having it get done, or having a buddy of yours or something who knows what they're doing actually work on it. And, you know, now the next step, which I'm not going to put in this video, obviously I got to get it cleaned up, you know, before I put the fairings back on, because hopefully they don't come off for a long time, or at least till I got to do the service again. Hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do, go ahead and give it a like, comment, subscribe, please. Like I started mentioning in my videos, we're going to be doing giveaways. I'm doing one giveaway. I don't want to announce what it is yet. One giveaway, not going to be a huge thing, but 100 subscribers. We'll do a second giveaway at 500 subscribers, and we'll do a third giveaway at 1,000. And then that point on, I don't want to stop doing the giveaways. They'll likely get much bigger, but that's kind of my channel goals right now. That's what we're going for. So hope you enjoyed this one, and get out there, do it yourself, wrench it yourself, get it done.